So we're talking about equations and functions now, and I'm going to go over how to relate to those two things when you have a variable and you want to change it in an equation to see how different things work. So it's easiest to see when you do this with a couple examples, and really this is one of those things that is just going to be things you're going to be using because it's how we use real math in the world today. So a lot of this stuff is kind of a little bit out there, but this sort of stuff you'll use just about every day, and you probably already do when you figure out things like how many movie tickets you can buy. If you got 20 bucks or something like that, then you're using a function. You just don't realize it yet, so let me explain that to you now. So here is a problem. It says here, a 160-pound man burns about 150 calories a mile running 6 miles an hour. If he ran 40 miles this week and 35 miles last week, how many calories did he burn this week and last week? And the way to think about it is, well, we got here, this part here, we got a 150-pound man, that, or 160-pound man. That really is not relevant, so we don't even need to worry about that part. Does it say anywhere how many hours he's running? No. So that there is not really relevant either. Those are called distractors. This is important and this is important. We're going to try and relate those two things together. And so how would you figure out how many calories he burned if he ran 40 miles and had 150, and it was 150 calories per mile? Well, I'm going to show you guys. Set up an equation, and here's how it goes. So what we have to do is we have to assign some variables. So what I did was I set up here, let C equal the total amount of calories, and let M equal the number of miles. Now we have to figure out how those two are related. So let's see. So this means that the amount of calories is equal to 150. That's the amount of calories per mile times the number of miles. And that's how we figure this out. And then we just substitute in these two values, 35 and 40, and we get our actual answer for the question. And there we go. When we substitute in those two values, we end up with 6,000 for 40 miles and 5,250 calories for 35 miles. Now this guy here is called the Flash, and I've always wondered what sort of caloric intake he would have, because he's running all over the place. He's super fast. He runs miles and miles and miles, and he's got to go ahead and eat all day long just to maintain that energy level, I would think. So remember that guy, the Flash. So now we got another problem here. It's a little bit different. Family membership at a museum is $75. In addition, IMAX shows for an entire family are $18 each. If a family is budgeted $150 for the museum visits this year, then how many IMAX shows can they see? So we got to relate these two things together. And again, what's the variable? It's going to be, let's see here, put down F equals number of IMAX films. That is going to be the variable because there's no other variable in there. So IMAX films. Now we just got to figure out how to relate this information with the rest of the information in there. So we see that we got 150 bucks. That's going to be our total amount that we have to spend. And together, that's got to equal, well, no matter, even if we show up at the museum no times, we're still going to owe $75. So now we just need to figure out how many IMAX films we get. And each of them are $18 if we do it with the whole family. So it's going to be 18 times F. Then when we solve this, we're just going to subtract 75 from both sides the way we normally do, and then we're going to end up with 75 is equal to 18 F. If you do the math, this is going to give us a little bit above 4. So since you can't see part of the movie, we're just going to keep it at 4 so you can see 4 films. Now, if we were to relate this a different way, if we said, well, we want to use B as a term for our total budget, then we could relate these a little bit differently. It would be the budget, because maybe next year you want to increase your amount, is equal to still the 75 is going to be the amount of the museum membership plus 18 times F. And there, we're done.